Paths of Glory was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it stars Kirk Douglas, George McReady, Ralph Meeker, Timothy Carey, and Joe Truckel. So as you can see, I got a new camera. That's because my old one broke, and that was the main reason why I couldn't upload a new video in a while. But now I got this new camera, and I love the fact that I can see myself through this flip-out screen. This is like a revolutionary feature that I've wanted like forever now. Going back to the task at hand, Paths of Glory was Stanley Kubrick's fourth film, and by this point in his career, he had really figured out his style. And from this point forward, he would just consistently make masterpieces. And in my opinion, this is the first film in his filmography that I would consider a masterpiece. And as always, this review will contain spoilers to Paths of Glory. So if you've never seen this film and you want to avoid any and all spoilers, I would highly recommend skipping to this annotation so you can receive my spoiler-free thoughts and my final grade on this film. But if you've already seen this film or you just don't care about spoilers, then let's proceed. This film is set during World War I, which is a time period in history I have been greatly fascinated in for quite a while. This film follows Colonel Dax and his battalion trying to advance to an enemy trench called the Anthill. The Anthill? Wait. That name sounds awfully familiar. All jokes aside, this mission goes horribly wrong, and the high-ranking officers want all 100 members of this battalion to be put to death by firing squad for cowardice. But instead they whittle it down to 3, and these 3 are put on trial. This is a very bare-bones synopsis of this film's plot, and this film does take a while for it to get its narrative across. But that isn't really a bad thing, because this is done to create a sense of dread, and to get you to feel attached to the 3 condemned soldiers. Before the attack happens, this film makes the choice to focus on these 3 soldiers before they get condemned, so you can already feel attached to them, and once they get into this circumstance, you already feel such strong sympathy for these men, and this makes this film just so much more devastating. This was an excellent choice by Kubrick, and it shows you how great he is at building characters and a sense of dread. This film's first act is really well written and really well shot. Its main goal is to build a distinction between the foot soldiers and the high-ranking officers and generals. The scenes with the officers and generals are shot in these large mansions, and these scenes mostly consists of wide shots, just to show you how much space is in each of these rooms, and to show you the luxury that they are surrounded by. The scenes in the trenches mostly consists of tight close-ups. This is used to convey the claustrophobia that these men have to face on a daily basis. There are also some excellent tracking shots in this film, like our main character, Colonel Dax, walking towards the camera in a very similar fashion to Patrick Bateman walking to work. This film actually has incredible set designs, whether we're talking about the lavish mansions of the war generals or the drab and grimy trenches. The scenes that take place in the trenches just feel so authentic. They honestly feel like World War I footage found in a documentary. So one of my favorite scenes in this film is the court proceedings of the 3 condemned soldiers. These scenes really convey to the audience just how unfair the courts were at this time. Like, they don't even let these men speak, and they practically manipulate them into confessing to their charges. So Colonel Dax gives a really chilling speech exposing the court's hypocrisy and unfairness, though this is proven to be not not enough, and the courts have already made up their mind, and they sentence these men to death by firing squad. And this isn't actually communicated through a verdict. It's communicated through a really creative scene where we see a sergeant giving his men orders on how to proceed with the execution. This was a really creative choice by Kubrick, and it's a great example of show, don't tell. Afterwards, we spend some time with the condemned soldiers as they are about to face the death penalty, and these scenes are absolutely heartbreaking. Also, a little fun fact just to throw into this review, Joe Truckel, who plays the bartender in The Shining, is in this film, and he plays one of the 3 condemned soldiers. So this film does a really good job in communicating the absolute insensitivity of the high-ranking generals and officers. You really grow to hate General Moreau and how he just disregards the lives of all of his men. This is shown when he slaps a man who is clearly suffering from PTSD. George McReady gives a great performance in this film. He manages to make this character feel believable, but still vile and evil. So this film ends with a young German woman being forced on a stage, and the men in the audience are told that this woman has a beautiful singing voice. So they start heckling her to start singing, and she does exactly that. And her performance changes their perspective. The heckling stops, and these men now start humming to her tune, and some of them are even driven to tears. Colonel Dax watches this from afar, and he is reminded that his men have something that the war generals just don't, and that is humanity. He sees that his men are able to see that this woman is an individual who is deeply hurt and, most of all, scared. And this is something that the war generals were just incapable of seeing in the 3 condemned men. And they were so incredibly blindsided by the concept of war that in the process of all of it, they lost what was most important, and that was their humanity. Overall, Paths of Glory is one of the most unforgettable cinematic experiences. This is truly one of the greatest anti-war films ever made. The fact that Kubrick managed to make a film so sophisticated at age 28 just blows my mind. Overall, Paths of Glory gets an A+. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my latest review of Paths of Glory. And if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And shout out to Fruit Boy and Danny Wagner. Thanks for watching.